Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I just filmed this entire video with the microphone off, and because I had tapped it during some streaming that I was doing, and I muted it, and I never came back on, and I forgot. And this is So I just literally it was a 20-minute all this stuff. So here we go. Session 29, Rift of Nations. Here's what went down. So the big overview to get you the big picture of what's going on from the what I thought was going to happen, and then I always give what did happen. This session was the biggest session yet, and I'm super hyped about it. I'm still riding on the hype about it because I'm going to talk about it now a third time. Just did the session. I just recorded the whole thing on it, and now we're doing it again. So here we go. This session was crazy because it was and one of the players, there was no combat in this session, but one of the players at the end of the session, like, this was our biggest session yet. And I was like, thank you. I was worried about there not being a combat. My group loves combat. There wasn't a combat. And I was like, hey, but the story is, it takes precedence in this moment because it was big moments. And there's multiple big hitter moments across the board for everyone's backstories coming to fruition. Everything's going on. My goal of this session as a dungeon master is to have my players realize the session's about to end. Like this campaign is about to end. So I was prepping their minds for that and got a whole bunch of big build up hype going for what's about to happen. They're about to go take on Sanctuary, which is a big, huge faction in the world that is housing and holding memories of others. They've been stealing memories of others and manipulating people's dreams and nightmares and all this other stuff. And they're housing all of that. They're going to set that free. They're also holding and keeping a dragon there that they're going to set free as well. One of the 5 dragons they are going to release, and in a good way. It's a good dragon. So that's going to be interesting. And then lots more stuff getting ready for it. So that's going to happen. And then after they leave Sanctuary, they're going to go into the mountains and prep for the final move to go take on the big whole situation. So I want them to see the end of the road and make sure that they see that they know that they're moving towards the end of the campaign. It doesn't happen out of nowhere. That's one goal that I want to make sure to have. So in this session, what I thought was going to happen was a bunch of downtime scenes, and I wanted to run this because it's so important. I did a whole live stream on my main channel. If you want to check out my most recent live stream on this is the 1st of August. Before this one. Anyway, to prep for this session, I had all the different stuff that everybody wanted to do. I had all the stories and moments that I wanted to do, and then I took those and I evenly weaved them in there to balance everyone's own stuff they wanted to do with the story and each other and weave it all together, right? And it worked out great. There was a combat I was going to do in the middle, and I tried it out. I even told them in the middle of the session, I was like, hey, there's a big thing that you could go do. And nobody really jumped on it. I just said it was like a scouting thing. And I was like, but we have some scouts that can take care of that. And okay, cool. And anyway, and I moved on from it because I don't want to, if they didn't want to jump into the combat, I'm not going to force them into the combat. And we kept going and they were loving the downtime stuff. So it was great. So here is the session breakdown. These are the bonus level up perks that I gave them before the session, and individually I let them know what all the different cool little upgrades they got, because they leveled up and they had downtime and it was a bonus level up perks. And if you don't know what bonus level up perk, I have 3 or 4 videos on my main channel about bonus level up perks. It's extra cool stuff you give your players based on what they do while they play the game. And also one of the Warforged that they saved from the prison they just broke out of, they saved a Warforged, and their power is boosting other people's power. So he's going to give them powers as well. So across the board, it was so many crazy things. We'll save that one for the end. Claude, if you remember Claude, the cat, Clara's pet cat that she had from the beginning of the campaign, it actually wasn't just a cat. It was a druid who shapeshifted into a cat and then got amnesia. And now they just think they're a cat. But turns out they're not a cat because they turned into a person. And through digging and finding stuff out, they found out that he's a very important person. And they gave him some water. And this water I forgot about completely. Because if you see here, I had all this stuff right here. Boom. All of this information was a lore bomb city that I was going to drop on them with Claude. And there was a lot of important plot points and all that kind of stuff. So I was going to do this, and I knew Darius had a dream crystal. And if he used it on Claude, he was going to be able to reset his memories. And there was going to be a cool moment where Darius is the one that does it and all that stuff. But when he talked to Darius like, oh, I have this magic water that we got from the underground ruins in the memory water fountain. I was like, wow, I forgot about that. How ironic. Memory water. Okay. But that was like, wow, you have this memory water. Wow. They never used it. So this is great for me as a dungeon master, because originally this water was just going to help you recover your memories. All right, great. But they never used it. They just have been holding on to this vial of water, not knowing what it did, which is great for me as a dungeon master, because now I can change my mind as to what it does, right? I don't do this all the time, but I think it was very appropriate here because I had this exact thing I wanted to do. And I already needed to do this for story plot reasons, so it was a perfect fit. Now the mechanics, based on the ways the players use it, the mechanics change now for what this does. What this does now is factory reset your brain. So not full-blown amnesia, but it resets your brain to the last moment you had before you lost memory in the first place. So Claude had a memory loss moment here, and now he's only remembered all of these things. It resets him to here, and he remembers all of these things now, but he does not remember all of these things that happened in the current time. He only remembers his past up to this moment. So he's like, who are all of you? Didn't know what was going on. I completely changed the way I was role-playing him and his powers. I made him powerful and strong instead of weak and confused and helpless and all that kind of stuff. He really felt like a sad NPC, and I wanted to really flip the script on him and give him a reset button. And he came in like a badass and did a whole bunch of stuff and talked to him about everything and all that kind of stuff. So, whoa. Super cool. So now that water now does something different than what it did before. It was fun to do that. And then they talked with Corey. They helped reset Corey's memories, which is Q's grandmother, who's not really his grandmother. Apparently, she's the queen of the Swamp Nation. Oh my gosh, what? And Claude and Corey together have reset, and they were the ones together that brought Q to life and activated the dream crystal. But then all three of them lost their minds or lost their memories, sorry. And now that's where that whole story thing came from. Again, I'm not going into great story details here. I'm just doing a little overview here. And then this was a big moment. This was the biggest moment of the entire thing. We're going full screen mode for this. So Clara, she had a big thing as a player. She wanted to help others. I asked everybody, what do you want for your character? Everybody told me what they want to do with their character, except for Clara. She said, I want to help others. And that's the whole theme of this entire campaign, is helping others. And what we can do together is better than what we can do apart. And she did that. So I blew the whole game up, and I gave her extreme powers, and she was imbued with the power of this dream energy. I asked her, I was like, if Clara could have any power, what would she have? And this person's going to imbue you with that power. She's like, oh my God, I basically gave her a wish spell. And she wished to be able to, again, help others in all this type of way. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So in the spirit of the campaign, she hit on the nerve of the campaign, the theme of the campaign, and it was beautiful. And she is now the chosen one of the Dreamers and all this other lore-based stuff. And it was a really cool moment for her to be able to be like Santa Claus and give things out to each of the players that she'd been able to work on. It was props to her. She's a chosen one now. She's a big centerpiece of this whole thing. It was really cool to see that player and that character get the props they deserve in that big, huge moment. I could go on about that. I'm going to do a full video on the main channel about that moment and how big it was, and I'm going to rant on it. So there we go. And then keep going. I even have a timeout here. Timeout. Sasha broke the game, and I talked to the players and just give her props again about how she broke the game. Whoa. And then they had some more moments. I already told you about the moments with the Hermes and the Sanctuary. This was me telling them about the combat. I was like, hey, there's a combat. Oh, nobody wants to do it? Okay, never mind. And then I weaved it into this combat down here because they didn't bite on this combat. So then I'm like, all right, fine. Hey, we found out there's actually more information. And I added this information onto the combat here. So now it all seems like there was only ever one big combat. So they're like, oh, okay, cool. And it all connects together. And the big finale moment, and this is what I ended the session on. There's so many things that happen plot-wise I'm not going to go over with you guys. But they had their moment of downtime. They've been going, and they got to settle in and have a moment of downtime. It was great. Samson returned. Samson the Mule. If you guys know who Samson is, you've been watching this from the beginning. Samson the Mule returned. Samson was starting to gain more personality and more human thoughts, and now he's apparently growing other powers as well. He's been able to divination speak to them. He didn't ever say it was him. I've been talking to them mentally, telepathically for a couple sessions, and then now finally he's returned, and it was the big finale of their pet donkey mule Samson. Has been their pack mule since the beginning of the game that they lost. They got arrested by the Tech Nation, and then they escaped from the city, but they had to leave Samson, and I felt bad as a dungeon master, so I created a way to get him back there, and they reunited. I told him the whole story of how he got there through Samson, and it was a great way to end it on a really cool note, because they're about to get into some crazy stuff. So buckle up for that crazy stuff. They're about to assault Sanctuary, break in, see what's going on. Stay creative. Things out of the box.